My son Arlo was perched patiently at the threshold of the climatron at the Missouri Botanical Garden, waiting for me as I made my way toward him in stuttered steps from across the room. Like a game of toddler Frogger, he nimbly navigated the crowd and left me in the dust as I made polite steps around rolling walkers, baby strollers, and lollygaggers. As he stood there, waiting in his knitted orange pumpkin hat, I saw him through the eyes of someone else, me, years and years ago. Has this ever happened to you? It's like a glitch in the Matrix or something, seeing your present through the eyes of your past. There I was that morning, standing across the room as this version of myself from before motherhood and the infertility struggle that preceded it, seeing, as if for the first time, this jubilant child twisting his hips in an eagerness bordering on impatience. In that split second, he was an adorable tiny stranger, and I distantly admired the curls escaping wildly from the brim of his hat, the roundness of his pert cheeks, the boyishness of his twiggy legs, and how he pulsed with a pure, barely contained liveliness. It's the kind of arresting moment that culminates in the lumpy-throated realization of, oh my God, you are mine. You are really mine. I could have never imagined a you more perfect and brilliant. It's the kind of sweeping moment where all I could do when I snapped back to the present was stoop before him, cup his bright face in my palms, and tell him in a rush of words that I love him so much and that I am so lucky to be with him right here, right now. You see, my husband and I were married for 10 years before we elatedly welcomed Arlo into our lives. In the last half of that decade, we had decided that we wanted to build our family. And when the years of failing to get pregnant collected one atop the next, we defeatedly made an appointment with a reproductive endocrinologist. After a sequence of invasive and modesty-squelching tests for both of us, she concluded that in vitro fertilization would be our best chance of achieving a pregnancy. She wrote the prescriptions for the multiple injections I gave myself in pinches of belly fat several times a day. She surgically retrieved my eggs from my hormonally souped-up ovaries. An embryologist then married my gametes with my husband's, and we were later informed of the small number of embryos that had actually fertilized. Days later, our doctor transferred our two best candidate embryos, two little 7-celled sparks of hope and promise, into my uterus through a catheter. And it was she who called weeks later, who confirmed for us through a blood test that I was finally pregnant. One healthy pregnancy later, my gooey, freshly born son lay on my chest, a gift comprised equally of science and miracle. The years of cloaking my deep longing to be a mother were finally blessedly over. Infertility treatment is no joke. It is expensive in terms of both finances and spirit. Treatment is often, as was our experience with IVF, not covered by insurance. There is no take-home baby guarantee. Living through the emotional and monetary expense of that uncertainty once was enough for us. We decided a few months after my son's first birthday that our first IVF cycle would be our last, and that we would not pursue any further treatment to grow our family. Our incredible son would be enough for us. Several months later, my husband and I had the truest surprise of our shared life. We were pregnant without any meticulously orchestrated intervention. Astonishing. I birthed my second child, a stunning, robust daughter we named Auden, in my home in the presence of my midwife, husband, and firstborn. "Hi, baby," my sprightly son brightly chirped when his sister first emerged. I deeply loved the fact that she, the child I gently closed the door on trying for, was first greeted earthside by her brother, the child I feared I would never ever have. So poetic, so perfect. I cuddled them and nursed them together that day, feeling very much like a woman who'd won the lottery twice, disbelieving, overcome, grateful. Sometimes I lie awake in the middle of the night after having nursed my clever, gorgeous daughter back to sleep. She is a delicious warmth and weight in my arms, and I bask in her deep sleep as we lay chest to chest, our companionable heartbeats trading conversation like they did when my body was her home. Cuddled under the covers, I can hear the chorus of breathing from my husband and my children, and I am warmed in my body and in my soul. Sometimes when I go for a walk through my neighborhood with my kids, I catch a flash of our reflection in a store or restaurant window, and I do not even recognize it as my own reflection. I see her there, that woman in the reflection of the Moroccan restaurant on South Grand, her back festooned with a plump baby in a woven wrap, her sippy cup wielding toddler gliding along in a double stroller before her, with an ease and a grace in her gait that belies the once isolating, anguished uncertainty of her motherhood. And then the realization strikes me like a swift arrow to the heart that the woman in the reflection is me. The kids are mine. That is my family. It is a privilege that cannot be understated, a richness beyond any of my daydreams, a mountainous joy, this crazy thing I call motherhood.